Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. I know this is later than our usual time, but I'm still excited to be here. I hope that you all are prepared for our live tonight. We're going to be featuring a AP Reader, as we have for our whole series, but tonight is actually for AP Psychology. Hi, everybody. As you come into the room, let me know what AP classes you are taking this year. What tests are you going to be taking in just like a week to 2 weeks? It's really crazy that we are so very close to May. And we're getting started. All right, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and allow my special guest, AP Reader Liz Severson, into the room. I'm just excited to have her, guys. Thank you for coming up. Let's see. Kevin says AP Stats and AP Calc AB. Woo! You did double the math this year, Kevin. Apes. We've got apes in the room. Spanish Lang and World. Awesome. Hello, Miss Severson. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm a little bit too close to the camera. Oh, look. So we've got a bunch of AP students in the room. Good luck to all of you as you're studying this week. Today, we're talking AP exams. Okay, so we have a reader in the room. Super excited to have you. Ms. Severson, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? And guys, while she's talking, start leaving your questions in that question bubble with the little question mark on it.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. I am Liz Severson, and I've been teaching AP Psychology for 15 years. I was an AP Reader in Tampa in 2018, and then took a little break, had a baby, and then COVID and virtual and all of that kind of stuff. So, but I definitely keep in contact with a lot of the readers, and I can't tell you how valuable it's been and how much I learned about how to really be successful on the AP exam.
Yeah, and you're right about the last like 3, I feel like 5. That's what it feels like to me.
Right. It does.
But the last 3 years have just been crazy.
Yeah. Definitely.
Awesome. Okay, so we do have some questions beforehand that some students have asked. Guys, make sure that if you want to get your questions answered, hi AP Bio Penguins, make sure you leave them in the question deck at the bottom, the little question mark in a bubble, so I don't miss it. Okay. So I guess first is my question, because I want to know, or know for the people who are too afraid to ask, what is the FRQ like on the AP Psych Exam?
Well, there are 2 free response questions. They're both worth 7 points each, and you have 50 minutes to answer them. The first question is a content application. So that is going to be really anything besides Unit 1. So you may have a scenario where it's describing somebody trying to register for college classes and get acclimated to the university, and then asking a question like, how would the following help? And then having 3 things listed. How would the following hinder, which is slow down, prevent, stop, and have 3 or 4 questions there. So it could be broken into, 1 to 3 parts, if not more. And then that second question, I think this has been really valuable. This is a more recent change with psychology, is that it's a research methodology question. So this really helps with studying, because you know that one of the questions is research methods. And what you will have to do on that is you'll have to read a scenario, evaluate it, and then a lot of times it's asking things like the operational definitions of the dependent or independent variable, usually the dependent variable. But the great thing about that is you can see, I know we have a practice one for Marco that is a methods question, and then you could certainly check out other methods questions. It really helps narrow it down.
Yeah, definitely. So we actually did, well, not we. Yes, it was we as in Marco, but it was me. And it's funny because I have test anxiety. And so I did it live in front of students.
Yeah, it definitely is hard. I think the biggest thing too is just, I encourage you to read both questions and then answer the easier one first, because the easier one you'll be able to, maybe do it in 15 minutes, and then you'll have 35 minutes to do the more difficult one. So read through both of them. Don't be afraid to write on the booklets and jot down your notes, just to help you, because it is a high stress time. So sometimes if you just start writing, you kind of forget where you're going. So having those notes down will definitely help.
Definitely. I feel like our brain, because it is a muscle, is a lot like I could totally not run a marathon at all today, right? I've been still today. I have not been running. But if I had started jogging and stretching and getting my muscles going, I'm more likely to be able to run most of that marathon, or at least half of it, once I'm already warmed up. And so I think that's kind of what you're getting at too, is if you choose the question that is easier for you to do, it's going to work in your favor so many different ways. You're going to have better confidence. You're going to feel better about yourself because you're like, oh, I know how to answer some of these. And then you're also warming up your brain for the more difficult task of the other question.
Definitely. And I think the other thing going in is, when you read those questions, just anticipate that you're not going to know every vocab word. I was looking at the international practice exam that was released, and the content application they both had a mean score of 3 roughly. So that means that the average score was 3 out of 7. So just plan on that. You'll see some stuff. I mean, I've been teaching for 15 years and I see stuff sometimes I'm like, oh, I think it's this. So just, and as being a scorer, it was really hard to get a 7 out of 7.
So question, how do you get a 5 then if you don't need all 7 points?
So it's broken down that the first part of the test is worth 2/3, so the multiple choice. And then the second part is worth 1/3, and it's a really weird configuration, but each point that you get on the FRQ is worth 3.574 3. It's goes into the thousands place. So yes, it is. I think the big thing is, if you just take your time, really try to make sure that you can answer the question thoroughly and that you're applying it back to the question, it helps get the most points. So you get a composite score at the end. So 150 would be the maximum. And I think in the 2019 practice test, it was 107 to 150, I want to say roughly. So that means that you definitely can get some wrong on the multiple choice and on the free response.
Absolutely. So there's room for error. There's even room for, if you just need to skip one and focus your energy on another section, you can do that too. So make the test your best test. So we actually have, it sounds like an OG in the room. His name is Kevin's. I think I'm getting that right. And this poor guy had to take the AP Psych exam in 2020.
Oh yes, that was a tough year.
Yes, but he gave some really, really good advice to those who are watching. And it says, remember to define and apply the concepts. Can you kind of walk us through quickly what he means by that?
Definitely. So I'd like to, many psych teachers follow the format of, it's the SOTA acronym. So I always loved it. I could tell when kids were doing it as a reader. So what you do is you start by spacing out your answer. So what I mean by that, if there's 7 points, you write, I'm going to encourage you to say A1, if it's section A, or prompt A, number 1, A1, make sure you put the vocab word. So let's say it's operational definition. I say the operational definition of the dependent variable is this. Right. And then I would, after I've written that might go on 4 lines, let's say, then I leave a space and start A2. It just is easier for the reader. The other thing I'm going to encourage you to do is to follow along, follow the order. The best thing with following the order is the AP readers. I read 1,400 essays and there were people who read 3,000. So when they're going through and reading the essays, you get in the groove and you just start counting. So let's say you don't know, it's 7 points, you don't know point 3, you could just leave a big space and come back to it. And if you do go out of order, just make a little note, 3 at the end. That's all you have to do in the margin. Now that define and apply is crucial. So why define? A definition doesn't score the point. But a lot of times what I see from students is that a definition helps enhance your answer. Maybe your application to the question wasn't quite there, but because you had that definition, it really, you're basically explaining it twice. So that definition is super helpful. I think it's especially important on the content application. I think you could get away a little bit more on the research methods, but I would always default to defining and applying, and really just saying that term. So let's say it's asking about observational learning, and
Okay.
you would start by saying something like observational learning. So you start with the vocab words so they know for sure.
Yeah.
Observational learning is learning through imitation and learning from a model. In this scenario, blah, da, 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 da. And that's
Right.
really what you want to do. Largely, you can answer it into each point in 2 to 3 sentences, I would say, if you really do the definition and application.
That's awesome. Which kind of brings
Yeah.
me to my next question. Because a lot of our students, we actually have some AP Lang and Lit students in here, and they're used to, and even the histories, they're used to like these super long essays that they have to
Yes.
write. That's really not the case here for AP Psych.
No.
But I do want to ask, how important is spelling on this exam?
You know, spelling me being a reader, how it's set up is there's 8 people kind of in our group, and I have a partner. So if I couldn't read a word, I would ask my partner, and usually you're able to figure it out. Just try your best. Spelling does not count. You know, I guess if you're being sneaky, I would, the nurture rule. So like, you don't remember if it's nature or nurture. So you spell it like N-U-T. So like, maybe it'll count for both. So that, but I can't think of too many terms that would apply to. You know, sometimes
That's
you can
really funny.
I know. Sometimes you can totally mess up. Like, it just depends on the rubric. So, you know, I can't remember. I read 1,400 essays. I can't remember what it was. But let's say you wrote Skinner's classical conditioning. Skinner did operant. That might not even count against you. It's just like kind of a misprint. So just try your best, sound it out. And if you really want to say, be like, hey, on the top, I'm really sorry for my spelling. The reader is just like, okay.
So as long as I don't like put the wrong person there, you know, like if I spell Skinner's name wrong or something like that, and I just like, I have a question. What if I am describing the study, but I don't recall the name? Like, for instance, maybe I'm using the example of Kitty Genovese, but I forget that I'm talking about Kitty Genovese.
Honestly, I think the only time a name is really important, like I said, if you said Skinner's or classical conditioning and it was the wrong name with the wrong theory, as long as you describe the theory correct, it's fine. You could, if you couldn't remember Kitty Genovese's name, you could just say in this study, and then just describe it. Really, the times that I've seen the names is just one free response stands out is saying like the following people want to apply different parenting concepts. So then they listed like Baumrine's parenting styles, Skinner's operant conditioning, and that you'd have to know the person, but you still, it's more the theory still. I can't really recall too much where names are that important on the FRQ.
Okay. Yeah. And that gives me a little ray of hope.
Yes. Yeah. And the other thing too, if you can all think about this as really a glorified short answer, really each point is separate from the other point. I really am going to encourage you not to connect them. So don't start saying like, let's say it's de-individuation and then social loafing and this, don't connect them. Like think of it as a separate short answer for each one. And yeah, no intro, no conclusion. It's a waste of your time, wasted the reader's time. We don't have a thesis. So think of it like 7 short answers just to the same prompt.
Yeah. It's just like when we were first learning, I mean, do you remember in 3rd grade or 4th grade when we were first learning to give short answer responses and your teacher would be like, just complete the sentence. That's all I need full sentences.
Right. I mean, I didn't have many 7 out of 7s, but it would be, you know, somebody could answer the question in 14 sentences and then there other people would fill up pages and pages and might get a point. So it's really about it's about the quality over quantity for sure.
That's yes, because you could end up wasting your time.
Right.
Wasting your time. Way too many sentences, not getting to the point.
Oh, and there is something else that I wanted to mention too. You are supposed to write in black or blue pen.
Ooh,
on
that's
our FRQs. Yeah, I think largely my theory, and maybe it's real, I don't know, that pencil just smudges so much more. But I just want to let everybody out there know, if you have your pencils because you're using those, you have to use pencils on the multiple choice because it's a Scantron, at least at our school. I don't even know if AP Psych is digital at all.
I think it's paper and pencil this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know ours is.
Pencil,
I couldn't remember
pen.
if we got to choose. So here, oops, okay, sorry. I had a student
There we go.
once who was writing and realized he had written in pencil. What you need to do, and what I sorry
Sorry.
what I want, yeah, what I want you to do is, if let's say you start writing the FRQ in pencil, we're not panicking. We're going to set the pencil down. We're going to pick the pen up and start writing. Do not erase the pencil. Do not write over it. It will be scored. It's going to happen. Just don't panic. Again, it's all teachers and professors. I mean, it's a bunch of really excited people about psychology that go and read for 7 days in their summer. So like they want you to do your best. So again, I can't emphasize that enough. Don't worry about erasing it. Let's say because you're writing in pen and you screw up on something, just strike through, just one line through it. Anything that is a strike through will not be read. Okay, so you don't have to waste your time scribbling and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Rinky Ringa has a great question.
Sure.
Do you have advice on reviewing content?
Okay, I guess for the content, I would look at, there's a few vocab words that always stand out to me that are on the FRQs a lot. If I look at, research methods, I would definitely focus. Operational definition of the dependent variable is very common. Maybe listing a hypothesis, maybe explaining, a lot of times you'll have a research methods issue and an ethical issue. Make sure you know the vocab. So it's not enough to just say, let's say they chose only people who attended the Marco Live, okay, and that would be their sample. We know that that's not representative of the population. So you might have to fix it and make sure you're reading the whole question, because I've seen a lot of mistakes where students will address the issue but then not fix it. So then they don't get the point. I think a lot of it with methodology lends itself to this mistake reduces generalizability. I think adding those vocab words is going to be super important. Ethics, a lot of times it's minimized harm, voluntary participation, confidentiality. Make sure that you understand those. And then I know this is probably one of your least favorite vocab words. I know it always is for me, but proactive and retroactive interference appear a lot on the FRQ. Proactive and retroactive interference, availability or representativeness heuristic. They like to do the confusing pairs a lot. So that definitely would be something that would be helpful to start out.
Why can't it just be fluid and crystallized intelligence every time?
Absolutely. Yeah. Or Ash's study was like one of my first years of teaching. I'm like, yes, this is great. So yeah, and actually some social psych terms that appear a lot, like de-individuation, fundamental attribution error, things like that. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, definitely. Know your terms, but more importantly, know how to apply them. A bunch of definitions are only going to get you so far. It may fare better in the multiple choice, but not really well in the FRQ.
Right. Yeah. And I think the big thing with the methods is you don't just know the methods, you know why they're used. So we know that an operational definition is used so we can better replicate. Well, why do we need to replicate? So that we can better generalize to the population. Like, you have to know the why. There's many layers, and I think that'll be important to look at. And like I said, you can really focus on that FRQ. So that's definitely where I would start, and then look at some other common terms.
Yeah, some of my favorites are like why, like an ethical issue when it comes to like substances and stuff. Like, well, obviously you can't make a whole bunch of pregnant women chain smoke cigarettes. So
right. No,
so we're gonna have to.
I don't know why this triggered this, but correlation. A lot of times it'll be a correlational study, and then the researcher will say, "Oh, this is causation." So that's another thing to pick out. So like in the study itself, it's actually a correlational study, but they're saying sugar causes hyperactivity, but it really wouldn't because they didn't do an experiment.
No. Actually, my favorite example of that is, and you've probably heard this before, that ice cream sales increase
Oh, yes.
causes crime to go up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I always do like lifeguard rescues too. The
Yes,
Yes, ice cream and lifeguard rescues.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what is your usual mindset when you go into reading, sorry.
Oh, that's a good question. I think, we're there and we do get to break it up a little bit. And
Mhm.
first, we always have candy. So that was super helpful. And coffee, candy, coffee. I think, we just want to go in and we're really trying to answer it as best we can. Like I said, I had a partner that I would talk to if my partner and I couldn't decide, I go to the table leader. If the table leader can't decide, she goes to her leader. So we are really trying everything we can to make sure kids are earning their points.
Yeah.
And everything, we want to make sure we're following the rubric. There's a lot of quality assurance checks, and to make sure that we are following, that we're scoring the same as the table leader, for example. So really that we're trying our best. So the easiest you can, or the easier you can make it for the reader by, doing the spacing out, following the order, defining and applying, making sure that you're numbering your letter and number like A1, A2, A3. That will help a lot. But the mindset definitely is to go in there and make sure that the kids are getting the points that they've earned.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So they like, this like big scary they're out to get me type,
Mm-hmm.
my it's a falsity. So you guys should know
Yes.
every single AP reader that I have interviewed so far has said the same thing. Like, we're all
Yep.
excited teachers and we just want to make sure that every student gets a fair shake, and that,
Mm-hmm.
we like, if we can't understand their handwriting, we pass it along to the next person.
Yep.
And, we're just trying to make sure that we can, give as many points as the student deserves. So I think that's
Yes.
such a great attitude.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Do you look at the exam as a whole if it deserves to pass or not? That's an interesting question.
It's really cutoff scores. So I will get students, like we get a folder and it's 25 answers in a folder, or essays, I'll call them, 25 essays in a folder, and I score it and then I pass it back. I don't know how you did on the multiple choice. I may not know. I can't remember if I know how you did on the other FRQ. I don't think so. So it really, I have no idea. I'm just responsible for scoring that. I don't have your name. Like nothing is there for me to identify. It's just an ID number, which I wouldn't know.
Right.
So it really, yeah.
So you would know if you'd scored any of your own students. Have
Right.
you ever been like, I recognize this handwriting?
No, well, this year I had all my kids typed everything, so I don't even know what anybody's handwriting looks like. So it'll be
Basically ransom notes.
It is. Yeah. And actually, this funny, sometimes anything you can do to bring a smile to your reader's face, sometimes obviously your main priority is to make sure that you are answering the question, you're doing the best you can. Let's say you have 3 minutes left. Write a little note just to be funny. I mean, it's just such it brightens our day, or draw a little picture like, hope you're having fun in Tampa. Thanks for reading my essay. I had kids write me raps, and it was just like, or poems. It was great. They're like, to the tune of, yes, to the tune of this. Obviously, that's after you finished everything. And you don't want to, I don't know how you would do it, but I wouldn't put any terms in there, like you're like misapplying like the terms that were in the essay, but it was just cute, something fun.
So sweet. I
Yeah.
really like that. That's
Yeah.
nice, guys. Do that. If you have the time, do that. Let's see. When how can you I can't understand that question. I'm so sorry. We'll go on to the next one. How do you get selected to become an AP reader for AP Psych?
Sure. Well, you actually apply to be an AP reader. So I had applied, gosh, I read in 2018. I probably applied in 2016, 17 in there. And then I was invited to be a reader, and I accepted. And then, like I said, the following year I have to go through like an application. I have to put do I have to do like my resume and my syllabus and different things like that, my experience? You have to be at least teaching AP Psych for 3 years
Okay.
if you're a K-12 educator. And yeah, that was it. I can't remember the whole process, but yeah, you're invited after an application.
Very nice. So
Mhm.
it's a pretty rigorous process to get,
Mhm.
like, everybody who's gone or is in the room has like gone through this mill.
Yes. And then, we love the networking. I've met so many great people. So like I said, it's a bunch of people who just love teaching AP Psych and getting that experience in the summer.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So the teachers that you've met, the readers that you've met, where are they all from?
All over the United States.
Wow.
So yeah, it really, yeah, my roommate, because we have a roommate, she was from Ohio. And
Mhm.
it was just kind of random. I know a lot of you might be seniors and you're trying to find your roommates. Kind of did the same thing. Went on the AP Psych Facebook page and like, is anyone looking for a roommate? I like to stay up. I like to go to bed early, but not too early, doing that whole thing. So that's how I found her. And then somebody from New Orleans. So the three of us kind of hung out, but then met some other people from Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky. So, and then, still have those connections. And I will still, especially one person, I will, if I'm trying to score one of my students' rubrics, or using the rubric, I might send it to her and be like, would you score this? Because I'm trying to get it as accurate as possible. And she read for many more years than I did. So it's really helpful that I still reach out and utilize those resources.
That is so sweet. It's like camp, but for
Yes.
AP Psych teachers.
Yes.
That's so funny. So what words would you say is okay to abbreviate, if any?
Mm. Um, I honestly, I'm going to err a little bit on the side of caution with this. I think if I were to see somebody, let's just say UCS, I would know that's unconditioned stimulus. I might write it out the first time and then do the parentheses UCS. I guess it depends how long. If you're on a time crunch, abbreviate. Like UCS and things like that. I would always write it out first and then put the abbreviation though, if
Yeah,
possible.
for clarity's sake. Yeah.
Yeah, just to be clear, I honestly think it would still score, but I'm just a little cautious, and prefer that you write it out at least the first time. I know there was like a hyphenated name a couple years ago, and it ended up being, I don't know, it was like a last name, maybe 12 letters. So I could see that especially if you're on a time crunch, that you write their name out first and then, say this is what I'm going to say, or hyphenate it, just with the initials or something. But yeah, like I'd err on the side of writing it out.
That's a safe bet. That's a safe
Yeah.
bet. So, guys, when it comes to preparing for your AP Psych exam, make sure you check out all the free resources that are available to you. We want to check out our YouTube channel, Marco Learning's YouTube. We have, like we said, some practice exams. Just continue to practice to at least get used to things. You're going to like desensitize yourself to the scariness of the exam if you know what's going to be on the exam and how it kind of flows and runs. So definitely make sure you go and do that. Ms.
Right.
Severson, just one last thing can you leave us with?
Yeah.
Just a golden nugget that you want every AP Psych teacher in America or student in America to know before they walk into their exam.
I think you need to go in knowing that you will see terms on there that you haven't seen before, and that it's okay. Do not get stressed if you see some terms. Like I said, I've been teaching for 15 years. I'll see things on the multiple choice. I'm like, oh, is it C or is it E? I will see things on the FRQ. I'm kind of like, where did that come from? I mean, there are thousands of terms that they could choose from. There's just no way to know all of them. So if you go in expecting to see things
and it
that
can be tough.
yeah, definitely. So if you go in expecting to see things that you haven't learned or haven't seen before, everybody else is experiencing the same thing, including teachers. The other thing too is, what was the other thing? No, I had it in my head midway through I was talking. Oh, I remember now. If you see a term and you're not quite sure what it is, so I have two examples that stand out. One year it was Baumrine's parenting styles, and I personally didn't teach her name with it. So kids were like, oh, we never learned that, but you learned parenting styles, authoritative, authoritarian. So just go with your gut on that. And another one that really stands out is foveal vision. So
Okay,
foveal
now I
vision
know what
is
you're talking about.
yeah,
It
yeah.
took me a
It's
second.
like visual acuity. Basically what it is, the fovea is the concentration of cones. So it's a vision that uses the cones. And I remember a lot of people, my students being like, what is this? And after, it was released, like, okay, just take a step back. Do you know what the fovea is? Do you know what vision is? What is the fovea? And kind of break it down. And again, go with your gut and just try to explain with what you know. So you have to use a little bit of problem solving sometimes, and just try your best.
Yeah, because when you said that, I was like, is that even a word? Hold on. Yes, it
Yes,
is.
but
And
we
I know
never,
it.
I mean, yeah, we
We're
didn't
talking about
say
the
it.
phobia.
Yeah, we're just like the fovea is vision, and then they throw out foveal vision. So, yeah,
Very
again,
nice.
fluid
Well,
and
thank
crystallized intelligence. Why not just those two?
you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Such a wonderful evening picking your
Yes.
mind as
Yes, and
your
good luck, everybody. Yeah, good luck. You got this. You have a week and a couple days to study, and just go in there trying your best, and you got it.
Yes. And someone did ask, when is our AP Psychology review? Those schedules will be up in the upcoming weeks. So be looking out for those. Make sure you're following us here on Instagram. Make sure you're following us on YouTube. Hey, if you're in TikTok land, go do that too. But it was wonderful having you on tonight.
Yes, thank you so
Guys,
much.
I will see you again next week for a whole new round of Ask an AP Grader live. So we're really excited to have you.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Bye, everybody. Good luck.